Hey, what's up? We're back with another movie breakdown. The first one I did, I broke down Hitch, and that went over really, really well. A lot of people seem to like it, so I decided to do another movie. And this is actually the most requested movie in the comments, which was Crazy Stupid Love. So let's have a look at this scene. This is the scene where the Ryan Gosling character picks up the Emma Stone character. And this is a really, really interesting scene from a pickup perspective, because there are some things he does so incredibly well, and some things he does so incredibly poorly. So it's very educational, I think, and also a very entertaining scene, and one of the very witty scenes, and I'm a big fan of wit. So should be fun. Let's get started.
So much potential, and you've resorted to fantasizing about Conan Ginger Junk O'Brien.
He is funny.
He looks like a carrot, honey.
Who looks like a carrot?
All right, I love this. This part I absolutely love, right? He goes in, they're talking about Conan OBrien looks like a carrot. He says, who looks like a carrot? Seems really simple, right? They said something obvious to comment on, he commented on that obvious thing. Why do I bring this up? Because about 99% of guys I know who would go over and talk to these girls, they'd be walking over there thinking to themselves, oh my God, what do I say, what do I say, what do I say? And they'd have this plan in their head. And when they got there, they would execute that plan blindly no matter what. So instead of who looks like a carrot, which is a great opener because it looks spontaneous, it came up in the moment, it gets their attention without being too needy or over the top or making it look like a pickup. Instead, most guys would just blindly interrupt to whatever conversation, be like, hey, excuse me, I saw you sitting over here and I had to tell you that you looked adorable and I wanted to, they'd just go through this preamble scripted bullshit, okay? So the fact that this is spontaneous and in the moment is really, really good. The other thing that's really good about it is it's a pre-opener. Anything you can do before your opener, it gets their attention and lets them actually pay attention to you, take in your body language, take in your eye contact, your smile before the open, and actually like allow those positive traits about you, hopefully positive traits about you, to have a good effect is going to be really useful. So this is a little detail, right? But I absolutely love this, and it's so worth mentioning because almost everybody does this wrong.
Hi. Who looks like a carrot?
Good, and then the high eye contact, exactly what I said, and then who looks like a carrot. Brilliant.
Conan O'Brien. My friend Hannah here thinks he's sexy.
That's weird because I think that your friend Hannah is really sexy.
All right, so the friend, because he had a good open, because, you know, charming, winning smile, good looking guy, all that kind of stuff, likes him very clearly. So that's great, right? And by default, he's done a good thing here, which is win over the friend. The friend is on his side, which is another thing almost everybody does wrong. Now, he didn't actually do anything here to make it happen, but if you look at this interaction versus the interactions you probably have with girls, most of the time, the girl's friend is probably on her phone texting, ignoring you, rolling her eyes, waiting for you to leave, whereas in this case, the friend is very into him. Now again, not because he did anything particularly amazing in game, like related to engaging her, but yes, she's on his side. So that's really good. What he just did here though, was a big risk. It was a big risk, and it was possibly an unnecessary risk. Okay, so what he did is he took an interaction that was conversational and, you know, flirty, positive, whatever, and he made it extremely direct. Okay, now this is the kind of thing that when it works, will work in a very big way. When it doesn't work, will not work quite as well. Okay, so he took a big risk here. The proper best way to play this probably would have been to have gone a little bit less direct. That said, at least it was smooth, at least it was spontaneous, and at least it came up in the moment. So it doesn't come off as a cheesy comment or compliment, despite what she's about to say in the actual movie.
Oh my God. You did not just say that. How old are you?
What are you, a lawyer?
A little bit.
Okay, so this is great, right? So she gives him a shit test. Oh my God, you did not just say that. How old are you, right? And so shit test. How do you not respond to a shit test? One, don't get emotionally reactive. Don't seem to care. He does that very well. Secondly, don't deal from being in the frame or the box that she's putting you in, right? So she said, you know, how old are you? As in that was an immature thing to do. So rather than directly like, no, I think that was very mature, or hey, you know, et cetera. He doesn't try and explain his way out of it. Doesn't try and put himself in that bad frame, in that bad position and explain out of it. Instead, he puts the pressure back on her. Wait, are you a lawyer? Right, which is a great way to, at least preemptively or at the start, pass a shit test, right? You don't have to deal with every shit test directly. You do not have to have a logical answer to things in conversation. Game is primarily emotional, not logical, right? It's not about winning a debate, it's not about winning an argument. And that's actually important because that comes up later in this interaction as well.
Come on.
I know.
You on? Is she?
gonna be.
Don't you think you're a little old to be using cheesy pickup lines?
Objection. Leading the witness.
And that is fucking brilliant. That is so good. Objection, leading the witness, right? Again, pass the shit test, super witty. Again, in the moment, right? This is leading the witness is not something you could have pre-planned to say in this interaction. So it's an honest signal that in the moment he's witty, in the moment he can handle his shit, and in the moment he can deal with it non-reactively. So this absolutely is brilliant, right? So up to here, he's done nothing really wrong at all, right? I think your friend is very sexy was risky, right? It was definitely a style of game that's high risk, high reward, as opposed to maybe the optimal high percentage move in that place. But you can't definitely say that it's a wrong move. And he's passed the shit test amazingly well. He's opened amazingly well. Everything up to this point is really, really, really excellent.
Wow, Hannah, you're really wearing that dress like you're doing it a favor.
Oh, God.
That's a line. Me sitting over there for the past 2 hours not being able to take my eyes off of you is a fact. I mean, there's lots of beautiful women in this bar, your friend included. Hi.
I love you.
But I can't take my eyes off of you. That's a fact. It's not a line.
Okay, now this I don't like. This I don't like. I do like how he included the friend. That part was really good. Including the friend, keeping her engaged, and making her a special person in the interaction was good. The rest of this I really don't like. So he had this opportunity, right? He just passed the shit test. He doesn't have to, at this moment, address the fact that game is in progress, right? He's handled that. So one of the key tenets of game, one of the things you don't want to do in game, you don't want to talk about game in game. You don't want to bring up the fact that you're picking up the girls while picking up the girls. And so he was past it. He passed the shit test. He could have just like, hey, I got to go in a minute. Mind if I sit down with you? And just had a normal conversation, built his value. Instead, he brought up again the fact that she thought it was a pickup line. He brought up again the fact that this was a cold approach. He brought up again the fact that he has an agenda, that he has an outcome in mind from this interaction. So strategically, this right here, as much as it was very clever and witty, because he has Hollywood writers like determining it for him, as much as it was witty, it's a really, really bad idea and a really bad move. Keep this in mind, like tattoo it on your arm, but not really, because it would violate the purpose. Don't talk about game in game, okay? Do not talk about game in game. You want it to appear to just happen. And he had this perfect just happen interaction. He'd passed the shit test, could go into it normally. He brought up game again. And big mistake, big mistake.
I find you very attractive. Do you find me attractive?
Also really big mistake here. The do you find me attractive? Had he said this to the friend who says, I love you, he could have gotten away with this, and that would have been like a good compliance and good taking an emotional positive and turning it into a logical. That's something you could do later on. But with this girl, with the Emma Stone character, she hasn't shown indicators of interest in him yet. In fact, if anything, she's given shit tests, she's been quizzical, and what he's doing, he's asking for compliance and asking her to make a logical decision in his favor. She's not ready for this yet. Now, she is amused. She did like react well when he passed the shit test. So it's not like he's completely out of the ball game. He was doing fine up until he started making it gamey. But he brought up the fact that it's gamey, got a bad reaction, and then from that bad reaction, he tried to escalate. This is another cardinal rule in game that so many guys do wrong. Do not escalate off of shit tests. Do not escalate off of negatives. When you're getting a shit test, you're getting a negative. Just pass the shit test, get the interaction normal or positive again, and then you can consider moving it forward, okay? So this is another time where he's being too gamey, too obvious, right? And he's making it a scenario where it's clear that if he picks up the girl, it's a win for him, right? He has an agenda to be a win for him. If it's a win for him, it's perceived of as a loss for her. And so he's setting a very negative frame for himself.
She does.
I don't.
You do. She does.
Yes, she does.
I don't.
You do.
You do.
I don't.
Hannah, can I buy you a drink?
No.
You say no a lot, don't you?
No.
All right, so this bit here, again, he's trying so hard to get that same compliance, and he keeps bringing up this idea that it's game. Now, it is clever, and he does have to his benefit the fact the friend is on his side. That's his saving grace in all of this, is that the friend is so on his side that it makes these incredibly needy things he's doing a bit less needy, because he has the social proof behind it, and he has the support that what he's doing is okay from the friend. So that does help, but that said, it's still needy. How much better would it be if he had the friend's support and was doing things non-needy? Right? With the amount the friend likes him, he could get the friend to essentially be selling Emma Stone to him. Could get the friend to be saying, oh no, this is why she's amazing, this is why you should date her. And it'd be a completely different frame. It'd be a completely different dynamic of the interaction, okay? So again, very, very pushy. The you say no a lot thing was good though. That's one thing that Ryan Gosling's character does very well in this scene, is he passes shit tests extremely well. So that was another great shit test pass.
Oh boy. permission to approach the bench.
Seriously?
And that's brilliant as well, right? Again, taking the context, taking this callback humor, using it as a way to move things forward in a fun, flirty way that's not so invasive, that seems to have just happened. And it can't be a canned line, because again, he didn't know coming in that she was an attorney. And so not knowing that, anything relating to that is in the moment. Anything in that is an honest signal that he is being spontaneous, is reacting specifically to her, and rather than just treating her as like any woman or having an agenda. So this line, aside from being very clever, is also very good contextually. And also another thing he's doing that's really important that guys do not do in seated sets, he's sitting down with the girls. So that's all really good, right? So basically, overall, his character, the way he's conveying himself, is he being high value, all that stuff's really good, but the major problem to this point is he's just been too obvious about the fact that he's doing game, and he's been too willing to escalate when things are going badly. Other than that, it's been absolutely brilliant.
Just come on, let me deliver my closing argument.
Okay, now this I hate. This I hate. And it's clever. It's clever because it's a callback to the lawyer thing, but this I hate, and here's why. Game is emotional first and logical second. And so he's going to make, at this moment, a logical argument for why she should decide to go ahead and have sex, like go home and sleep with him, have sex with him, that sort of thing. So first of all, it's way too big of an escalation. Secondly, he's relying on the logical rather than the emotional. Okay, so what he should do instead is, here's a phrase for you, another phrase to remember in game, change her mood, not her mind. Get her having a good time emotionally first, rather than convincing her logically. The story he's about to tell here actually would be an amazing story to tell if you were just in conversation and you used it as an anecdote, used it as like a philosophy of life. But when he says it in this context, he's clearly trying to use it to persuade her. And when someone's making an argument to you, the first thing that you want to do is shoot holes in the argument or resist that argument. So again, he's setting it up in a way where if he wins, she loses, right? And people don't like losing, so they tend to put up walls when you set up those kind of frames.
Sure, proceed.
Anna, we live in a physical world, right?
Uh-huh.
And you're going to age, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you this, you're never gonna regret going home with that guy from the bar that one time that was a total tomcat in the sack. But I can't guarantee that you won't not regret it.
That's a double negative.
You're a double negative.
All right, so the framing of that is great. The framing of seize the day, live in the moment, experience life, that's a great frame. And like I said, in a different context where it wasn't used as an argument, it would be absolutely brilliant. In fact, I use this frame myself very often, but in a different context. And again, she gives the shit test, that's a double negative. He says, you're a double negative, again, passes the shit test so well. But something to notice here, and we'll play this one quickly, or we'll replay this one quickly for you, is after he passes the shit test, notice the reaction on his face. It's very subtle, but notice he passes it, and then he has this expression on his face that's like, gotcha, or that was good. That's a problem. When you pass a shit test, when you have a gamey line, you don't want it to seem like you did something, you want to seem like it just happened. So the line itself, the way he passed the shit test is brilliant. The fact that he's a little too happy with himself for it, and he seems to think it's a little too clever, is actually not so good. So let's look at that again real fast.
But I can't guarantee that you won't not regret it.
That's a double negative.
You're a double negative.
See that, where he kind of holds it just a little bit too long, okay? So many guys do that. They have like some line that they saw me use or some other guru on the internet use or some line they read in like a pickup book or whatever. And they say it and they're like, oh, that was my clever line. And the girl can see, oh, that was what he thinks was his clever line. Good lines should appear to just happen, just as good game should appear to just happen. It should not appear like you're doing anything.
Okay, Hannah, can I buy you a drink?
Okay.
And so now here, again, he's asking to buy her a drink. How many times has he already done this? Okay, it's another rule of pickup. Don't ask again for the same thing that you already heard no to, right? So if you asked to buy her a drink and she said no, and then she asked to buy her a drink and she said no, instead, maybe ask if you can, sit and just chat for a couple minutes, right? Or maybe ask if even if you said can you just sit and share an hors d'oeuvre with her or something like that, just as long as it's something slightly different. Right? Similar kind of thing, if you're like maybe a day game set or something like that, you ask a girl for coffee and she says no to coffee, and then you build some value, build some time. Later on, maybe ask her for a smoothie or a frozen yogurt or a drink, not again for a coffee. It's hard to get someone to say yes to something they previously said no to because they have to admit they're wrong, right? They already made a decision on that sort of factor. So again, asking for the same thing over and over and over again when you hear no is just silly.
You know what? It's time to go home.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow, it's forward of you, but okay.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
And that's a cute final attempt. That, you know, as forward of you, but I'll do it. I've definitely done that. Usually I do it when things are going a lot better, but that is, again, another good reframe, another good shit test pass. But at this point, it's so clearly gamey, and I think she is attracted to him. But he set up this frame where, again, for him to win, she has to lose, and girls don't like losing. So she's probably not gonna go with him, as we see in this scene.
You both saw 3.
So, should I get my car or yours? Should I pull the car around? Have you been drinking? I'll drive.
Liz, coming.
So to summarize this scene, which is actually one of my favorite scenes from movies and pickup, and one that I really enjoy, what did he do well, what did he do badly? He carried himself with confidence, absolutely. His body language and like mannerisms, tone of voice, you know, smile, all that kind of stuff was really, really good, with the one exception of when he delivered the double negative line and he seemed like a little too happy with himself. Other than that, body language was amazing, right? Incredibly, incredibly witty, and wit does go a long way. It's easy when you have Hollywood writers writing for you, but he was incredibly witty. So in terms of being an attractive person, he did that really, really well. In terms of framing the situation in a way that could actually lead to a result, he did that either risky or badly, depending how you look at it. So his style of game in this instance is being super direct. Just being, hey, I like you, let's do this, right? And if he is high enough value, right, if the girl immediately likes him, as you see with the friends, that kind of an approach will work, right? Because he's doing the things he needs to, she likes him, and he's moving it forward. However, for a girl who doesn't immediately like you, what you're gonna be doing is you're gonna be creating a situation where you're pushing too hard, and it's only gonna increase her resistance, which is what you see with the Emma Stone character. And one thing actually that the writers kind of got right here too, the way they're playing out the scene, it's meant to be that the Emma Stone character is like the hot friend and the Asian girl is like the less hot friend in this particular scene. And it is accurate that this type of game will work really well on the less hot girls, more so than it'll work on the very hotter girls that have more options and girls that are like less overawed by a guy of high value. All right, so that's actually accurate in a way as well. The other thing he did really, really well is he did have the friend on his side. Now, he didn't overtly go out of his way to get her on his side, other than the one comment about not unlike your friend who's attractive. But he did have the friend on her side, which is very, very important. So he did that well as well. Okay, so great example of what to do right. Little example of what not to do as well, right? So you could say his personality and value was there. His tactics were there actually too in terms of passing shit tests, but his strategy, the frame that he took in approaching this, was not the most optimal one, and it's actually why he sort of failed. If he were to do this, better, what he should do is still have all those same attractive characteristics, be a little more patient. As soon as he had an in to just sit down and talk with them, instead of going right for the close, he should have actually spent some time, gotten to know them, built some value, and then considered closing later, right? As I mentioned in the system, it's open, premise, evaluate, narrative, close, right? You want to get the conversation started, establish what type of conversation it is, and then you want to be having a frame where you're getting her to chase you, getting her to qualify to you, and there's some back and forth. And then you can go ahead and close. What he's doing is pretty much open and like open premise close, but it's coming from the wrong frame. It's coming from the frame that he wants something from her, he's needy, and he's chasing, and that frame never really changes, which is why, in spite of, I think, being attracted to him, she ends up leaving, because it's a win-lose frame where if he wins, she's gonna lose. All right, so I hope you found that educational. I hope you found it entertaining as well. Again, one of my favorite scenes. As with a lot of Hollywood scenes, a lot of things very accurate to real life, because in order for it to play, it kind of has to be. And then some things that are fiction. So good scene. Hope you enjoyed it. Catch you on the next video.